People tend to struggle with trusting intuition and trusting the idea of witches in general for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is psychologically, we tend to make what we don't understand bad. We're good. The one we don't understand is bad. And, you look back at persecution over the years, not just of witches, but all kinds of people that are not the major, ruling class. And there's persecution everywhere. That's one issue with why people don't trust the idea of a witch. Some of it had to do with religion, where the religious powers that be wanted to control the populace. And so they didn't want people who were connected to themselves, who had that kind of internal power. They didn't want them influencing people, so get rid of them. The divine feminine, the female aspects, which are nurturing and more intuitive and of the body and other things, those qualities have not been valued the way logic and rationality has been valued. So another thing about intuition is a lot of people have not developed their intuition themselves. They rely on what other people tell them, what they read, what's on the news, and, mass consciousness belief systems. And because they haven't developed their own intuition, they can't trust intuition because they don't have their own really highly refined intuition. And people who are witchy, people who are healers, people who are shamanic, they have developed their intuition and they use that intuition in what they do. So that whole group of people becomes suspect by the group of people that don't understand what's going on there. And we're in a world right now that desperately, desperately needs the feminine qualities, the qualities of honoring the earth, the qualities of seeing the earth as a being, the qualities of having a strong intuition, the qualities of nurturing, the qualities of knowing. There's a lot of qualities that we, the people on the earth, need right now because so much is happening that has nothing to do with honoring the earth and intuition and general witchiness. So how does a person develop their intuition? There are people just born with, a direct line somewhere and they just receive, they channel. I wouldn't say I was one of those. I developed my intuition, I believe, doing actually a lot of therapeutic work, because as I cleared out fear, clouds of fear, it opened up the ability to feel and hear and see more. And I specifically used the tarot cards. I got the tarot cards in 1985. A friend of mine gave me a deck and I started playing with them and doing readings for people I knew and readings for people I didn't know. And the tarot, the symbolism of the tarot and the meanings of each card, when you lay out a reading, and this goes back to the Jungian principle of synchronicity, that if you lay out a bunch of cards, they aren't haphazard. There's a reason those cards came down. And so when you read the cards and look at the meanings, you start getting insights into what's going on in this person's life, in their energy structure, in their attitudes, that's causing them to get, for instance, let's suppose they got the Tower, which is basically the ego structure is being blown apart and things are collapsing. What is going on in their life? And it makes you look within and try to feel what's going on. And this is way outside of rationality. There's no science book saying 1 + 1 = 2. Now, people who are not clear channels, because, the clarity of being a channel has a lot to do with how clear of a channel you are has to do with how clear you are. So if you have a lot of debris, psychological debris, it will interfere and cause you to interpret what's coming through you in a way that's not pristine. It can. It depends. It depends who you are and what's going on. But for someone who wants to learn to develop their intuition, I definitely recommend getting a tarot deck and playing with it and using the readings on yourself and doing readings for yourself and going, what does this mean? Why do I have this card here in this position talking to me about something? What is this card trying to tell me? And that was a big help for me in terms of the beginning of developing my intuition. If you have a lot of trauma and a lot of fear, you might be reading into things in a certain way that is not helpful. So the more healing you've done personally, the clearer your being is to be in touch with what's trying to come through and not put your own judgment, your own wounds, your own lack of healing on top of it. And one of the reasons people don't trust other people's intuition is because they don't know that person. They don't know if that person is a clear channel or not. They haven't developed their own intuition, or sometimes their own intuition is saying that person is not correct. And that's happened to me a number of times, where someone might tell me something, I'm like, and my intuition will pop up and say, I don't think so. So yeah, it's a big complex area because, again, it's not a rational world. It's an intuitive world. In terms of trusting other people's intuition, if you know them and you know they're accurate and you have a relationship with them, that goes a long way in terms of, oh, I can trust this person's intuition. However, the better thing is to develop your own intuition and trust that. But until you have developed your own intuition, having someone you can bounce things off of who you believe has a really good intuitive part is really useful. So in terms of terms, so we have witch, we have shaman, we have healer. So why is the term witch used mostly for females? I mean, we do have the term witch doctor, but some of the more positive terms like shaman are more relegated to males. And yet witch, witch has gotten a bad name. Even today in certain areas of the world, witches are persecuted, killed, sent away. Or not even witches, people who other people deem as witches, people who might have special skills, who might get visions, who might be healers, who might have knowledge of herbs that other people don't have. It's a big giant cauldron of terms, and witch has really gotten the short end of the stick. And in order to really balance out our world, we need to say witches are good. Witches are not bad. There's not that many people out there doing what you call dark magic, cursing and that kind of thing. I mean, most of those people aren't intuitive. They're just doing stupid stuff. But witches tend to be healers or, interested in, if you look at Wicca, a very strong connection to the natural world. And they see the world as a being. The planets as beings, the stars as beings, the trees as beings, and that we're a weave of life and value. And that is like, that's where we go to the earth is round. If you're saying the earth is flat, what you're saying is none of that matters. It's a human-centric world, which, as you can see, isn't getting us very far. We need a much more being-centric world, which is more in line with Wiccan philosophy. So in terms of awakening or reawakening your wild feminine, the reason I like that phrase is because there are a lot of people disconnected from their feminine side. And I'm talking not just about women, but about men who, again, they live in this logical world, which is, if I cut down that tree, it's worth X amount of dollars, instead of that tree absorbs carbon, it provides a home for the birds, it's beautiful to watch in the wind. When I stand next to it, I feel a life force. That's the difference between connecting with the divine feminine, your wild feminine, a part of you that's so valuable, and being disconnected from it. There is a card in the Tarot. It might be the Knight of Swords. I think this is in the Mother Peace deck, which I don't think is even available anymore. It's a round deck. It's beautiful. And the man is looking at, I'll say it's a pile of gold. It's something of value. But in his hand, he's holding a dove, and he's in his gaze at the gold. His hand is clenching, his fist is clenching, and he is strangling the dove. And that's an exact picture of what happens when we aren't open to the feminine, to the value of the earth, and we're just trying to get what we need from this earth and not be open in our hearts. So exploiting the earth rather than valuing the beingness of the great mother who holds us all. When I use the term express your true self with confidence and grace, that generally requires healing. Or someone might come into this life with a powerful purpose and not a lot of shadowy stuff over them. And that person might be able to just plow through and express themselves with confidence and grace. But a lot of people get stuck in not feeling confident and having shame and deep down feeling like they might be a failure or they aren't doing good enough. And you've got to clear that stuff out if you're going to find a confident voice and really be connected to the part of you that is powerful and pure. Freeing yourself from the expectations, societal expectations. Society does have a lot of expectations on us, and it doesn't really support. I mean, you go to school and like, what are you going to be when you grow up? Are you going to be a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher or a artist, or like, what are you going to be? Not, do you have a good heart? Do you care about the beings around you? Do you care about everyone, not just your select group? Do you value your intuition? You can hear just in that the skew towards external reality and the lack of emphasis on who we are as beings, how we develop ourselves, who we become. How do you claim the part of you that's a witch? And I talked to someone a little bit ago, and she interviewed me, and she did not identify as a witch, which is actually a difficult thing to do in this society because it's such a pejorative term. But she told me that when she was pregnant, she knew she was having a girl. She 100% knew. And I said, well, that's sort of witchy. She said, yeah, I guess it is. It's claiming your knowings, not claiming these ideas you have about things, but actual knowings that, so there's different kinds of knowing. Some people see images. Some people hear voices, or I actually see sentences sometimes, like actually see the words. Some people feel something, like if you have a fire in your gut, you know you're being lied to, or there's different, some people just know, I know I'm having a girl. I know in this pregnancy, this baby's going to be a girl. It's developing these windows into perceiving so that you can begin to develop a repertoire and a skill set, just like reading and writing, where you can hear whatever's coming through you and develop, you know, your intuition, the part of you that's a witch, and then claim it and say, yeah, I have a part of me that knows. I have a part of me that's connected to the divine feminine. I have a part of me that's witchy, and claim that instead of sort of hiding it because someone might judge you. And again, this is where we get into healing. If you're hiding it, you've got fear, possibly fear from past lives because you were persecuted for showing that part of yourself before, but you've got fear that needs to be healed. So you can actually stand up and say, sorry, I know things, I hear things, I see things, I have a part of me that's witchy. We live in a world that's very human-centric. It's all about the people. Are the people getting what they need? Are the people suppressed? What can I get for myself? How do I feed myself? And we live in a very survival-based world. So this makes sense. We want to survive. We do what we can to survive. But somewhere in the process, what got lost is that the whole world is alive. The stars are alive. The water is alive. The trees are alive. The air is alive. The flowers are alive. We live in a world teeming with aliveness. And if it's all about the humans, then we don't have any problem mowing down the old growth forest, because it's there for us to plunder. And witches are not about plundering. They're about honoring and respecting the interwovenness of all of life. All of this ties into Love's Cauldron, which will be coming out this, hopefully, June. I started writing Love's Cauldron, no idea what I was writing about. I just knew I needed to write a book, and lo and behold, it was about the healing process and the intuitive process and claiming the witch self, which I have been, in the past. Like, I use a pendulum. Do I tell people I use a pendulum? No, because I didn't want to be judged. But at some point you have to come out. So originally the book I wrote was called I Am Witch, The Art of Becoming, which is a accurate title about what the book's about. But then you get a publisher and he might say, you're not going to sell the book with that title. And so I had Love's Cauldron in the book as a subheading, and he noticed it and said, what do you think of Love's Cauldron? And I said, I love that. And so we changed the title to Love's Cauldron. Although originally the book was I Am Witch, The Art of Becoming. And it is about the emotional healing journey and developing our creativity, our intuition, our wholeness, our ability to know. And so it's all woven in together to celebrate the divine feminine, which has really been suppressed on our planet. Leaving the title as I Am Witch would probably have turned away every single person who didn't think they were a witch. And those people who don't think they're witches but actually have a lot of witchiness, the book would be good for them. So I didn't want to lose those readers by using a name that would have turned off, 99% of the population, because they haven't come far enough along to realize what witchiness is, that they have parts of themselves that are a witch, that witch is a good thing, not a bad thing, that we all need to develop our witch sides, including men. I mean, let's get our shamanic pieces and our healer pieces and our witch pieces up to the forefront so we can be part of a world that values more than just 1 + 1 = 2. So that's it. Love's Cauldron will be coming out hopefully in June. And if you go to my website, you can sign up to be notified when it's out. And hopefully you'll give it a shot. There's actually going to be book 1 and book 2 because it was so long. I didn't want people lugging a 50-pound book around with them. So we split it into 1 and 2, and part 1's coming out first.